Okay. So let us go ahead now. Wait. देखिए, इतिहास लेखन की जो परंपरा सुल्तानों के साथ में शुरू हुई, वो परंपरा को आगे ले जाने का काम मुगल पीरियड ने किया। The trend of history writing that has started during the Sultanate period is taken further during the Mughal period. During the Sultanate period, the subject matter of the history writing used to be mostly confined to the court politics, wars. Now, relatively speaking, the subject matter has become more varied now. अभी क्या हुआ, इस पॉलिटिक्स और कोर्ट के अलावा बाकी के सारे सब्जेक्ट भी इतिहास लेखन के दायरे में आने लगे. So history writing has become more varied, more elaborate. Uh, it also became more objective, more sober, and more dignified. Uh, and there are certain important features of the history writing that has done during the Mughal period. मुगल काल में जो इतिहास लेखन किया, जो इतिहास लेखन हुआ, उसके कुछ important features थे, उनकी कुछ important बातें थी. उदाहरण के तौर पर now मुगल काल एक ऐसा कालखंड है. मुगल पीरियड इज दैट पीरियड ड्यूरिंग विच इंडिया हैज विटनेस स्टेबिलिटी ओवर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. काफी समय तक यहाँ पर राजनीतिक स्थिरता थी. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट देयर इज एन एम्पल हिस्टोरिकल रिसोर्सेस अवेलेबल फॉर द रिकंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ हिस्ट्री. इसके कारण क्या हुआ, यहाँ पर इतिहास लेखन के लिए बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर साधनों की निर्मित हुई. देयर आर फरमान्स, there are political correspondence, there are history that is specially written by the court historian, there are history that is written by the non-official historian, which was not generally प्रिवेलिंग ड्यूरिंग द सल्तनत पीरियड. सल्तनत पीरियड में सूफियों का कुछ इतिहास है, लेकिन यहाँ पर सूफियों के अलावा भी लोगों ने हिस्ट्री लिखान में, इतिहास के लिखान में इंटरेस्ट लेना शुरू किया. एंड देयर आर सर्टन पीपल हु रोट हिस्ट्री विदाउट गेटिंग एनी पैट्रोनेज फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट साइड. So it's abundant history. काफी history मुगल period में लिखी गई, and we get a quite comprehensive picture of that period. इस समय में फारसी भाषा का यहाँ पर काफी प्रचलन हुआ. एंड जैसे कि फारसी भाषा बाहर से आई थी, और आमतौर पर हम लोग देखते कि सुल्तानों के कालखंड में, सुल्तानों के पीरियड में द राइटर्स यूज्ड टू बी जनरली मुस्लिम राइटर्स. लेकिन इस समय में हम लोग देखते हैं कि फारसी भाषा कई हिंदू ने भी सीखी, और कई कुछ हिंदूज है, they have written their historical account by using this फारसी लैंग्वेज. तो इस समय की जो हिस्ट्री है मुगलों के कालखंड की, मुगलों का कालखंड हमने पहले डिवाइड किया है 16th सेंचुरी टू 18th सेंचुरी, आमतौर पर हम लोग मानते हैं. सो डिफरेंट कैटेगराइजेशन ऑफ हिस्ट्री राइटिंग दैट इज डन ड्यूरिंग दिस पीरियड इज ऑटोबायोग्राफी, biography, official history prepared by the official government historian. There are government records like gazetters and official manual. Then there are collection of letters. Then there is non-official private history. Then there is a provincial or local history, and then there is a biography of the Sufis. Then there are literary works as well. Now, let us talk about some of the important autobiographies of this period. Autobiographical account, they are generally started by the ruler. And in fact, the founder of the Mughal Empire in India, that is Babur, he himself has wrote his autobiography called Tuzuk-e-Babri. Now, one of the important feature of this autobiographical account is that it doesn't have any specific purpose. Like, it will talk about everything. The kind of political experience, personal experience, taste, even it will talk about the law matters as well. That personally, what this writer, if they want to keep an account of their feeling. So the first autobiographical account of this period is तुजुके बाबरी. बाबर का जो आत्मचरित्र है, जो कि तुजुके बाबरी के नाम से जाना जाता है. तुजुके बाबरी इज एक्चुअली रिटन इन द चगताई तुर्की लैंग्वेज. एक जिस रीजन से बाबर था, फरगना, मध्य एशिया में, वहां पर तुर्की भाषा जिस तरीके से बोली जाती थी. देखिए, एक भाषा का भी अलग अलग वेरिएशन होते हैं, जैसे कि मराठी में भी है. हम लोग नागपुर और उसके सराउंडिंग एरिया के लोग अलग मराठी बोलते हैं, पुणे के लोग अलग मराठी बोलते हैं, मराठवाड़ा के लोग अलग मराठी बोलते हैं. तो उस तरीके से तुर्की जो भाषा थी, उसका जो वेरिएशन था, उसको चगताई तुर्की बोला जाता है. और उस चगताई तुर्की में कुछ पारसी शब्द भी आ जाते थे. तो इस तरीके से जो तुजुके बाबरी, जो ओरिजिनली ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल अकाउंट, आत्मचरित्र लिखा है बाबर ने, वो इस चगताई तुर्की में लिखा गया है. बाद में उसका पारसी भाषा में ट्रांसलेशन किया गया, एंड देन दैट इज आल्सो नोन एज बाबरनामा. सो तुजुके बाबरी एंड बाबरनामा इज वन एंड द सेम थिंग, बट द ओरिजिनल नेम इज तुजुक ये बाबरी. and he claims that he is writing objectively, और उसका जो अकाउंट है उस समय के हिंदुस्तान का, जिस समय वो भारत में आया था in 1526, he defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat and he laid foundation of the Mughal Empire in India. तो उस समय का जो पीरियड था 16th सेंचुरी के शुरू का, उस समय की क्या पॉलिटिकल कंडीशन हिंदुस्तान में थी उसके बारे में वो लिखता है। उसके बाद में जब पानीपत की युद्ध के बाद में जब उसने ही occupied Agra and then further Delhi, he writes about the weather condition here, he writes about the artisans, he writes about the people, their way of dressing, their food habits. But you know, though he says that he is writing an objectively, he do not have a very good opinion about the Indian people. He did not like the weather here, neither he liked the manners of the people here. Well, so but in case of the prose, the literary style, it is considered as one of the masterpiece of the Turkish prose writing written during the medieval period. And the next important autobiographical account that is written by Jahangir, and it is also known as Tuzuke Jahangiri, and it records the first 12 years of Jahangir's rule. He wrote for 17 years. He started before becoming emperor 5 years before that, and then after becoming emperor, he continued to write it for 12 years. And he honestly confesses his some of the mistakes, like he got Abul Fazl to be murdered. As a Prince Salim, Jahangir's name was Salim basically. As Prince Salim, he revolted against his father Akbar, Emperor Akbar, and Akbar sends Abul Fazl for reconciliation. And but then somehow this Prince Salim was quite jealous of Abul Fazl, as Akbar was quite fond of Abul Fazl, and he got this Abul Fazl murder, and that he mentioned. But there are certain things, like he doesn't write any much about Noor Jahan. Noor Jahan was his lover. Then he got married, and it was later on Noor Jahan who controlled the administration. He doesn't write about Khusro, his own son who revolted against him, and Jahangir has given him a very strict punishment. He got him blinded. Sher Afghan was husband of Noor Jahan, and Sher Afghan was killed when he revolted against Mughal. And then she was widow, and this widow Jahangir has married later on. So he doesn't mention all those things, though these people are quite important in his life. But nevertheless, he gives quite detailed description about the important administrative measure, military expedition. He writes about people's behavior, their way of life, and he talks about his own interest in painting. In a way, by reading his account, we can understand that Jahangir was quite a very minute observer of the people and his surrounding. But nevertheless, in case of literary style, in case of the detailed account, Babur's autobiography, that is Tuzuke Babri, it stands much superior than Tuzuke Jahangiri. And then Jahangir, over a period of time later on, he came completely under the control of Noor Jahan, and then he was also addicted to intoxicants. And then he stopped writing, and then he said कि okay fine, there was a courtier in his court, मुतमत खान नाम के एक व्यक्ति थे, एक लेखक थे। मुतमत खान को उन्होंने कह दिया कि अभी इसके बाद जो है आप लिखिए मेरी ऑटोबायोग्राफी, मैं जो जो कहता हूँ वो आप लिखते जाइए। So this is there are two autobiographies, that is Tuzuki Babri and Tuzuki Jahangiri. Now let us come to the biographies. In case of biographies, there are two important biographies. Uh, this is very interesting and very unique example. That is Humayun Nama, which is written by Gulbadan Begum. Gulbadan Begum was Humayun's half sister. Babar की बेटी थी वो, she was Babar's daughter, and she was quite educated lady, and she wrote an account, and she seems to be having a sense of history. Here she writes about her father Babar, then about her brother Humayun. In fact, the text is dedicated to Humayun, and that is how it is named as Humayun Nama. And the next important biography of this period is also deals with Humayun's period, that is Kunnunya Humayuni, and it talks about Humayun, and it is written by Kondamir. Kondamir was a writer in the court of Humayun, and he writes about Humayun's policy towards Indian noble and Indian aristocracy. These early two ruler, that is Babur and Humayun, could not give stability to the Mughal Empire in India. They were always fighting, and Humayun has to in fact run away for a very long period from India. And it was Akbar's period, which had witnessed a considerable stability. अकबर का समय जो था उस समय काफी समय तक हिंदुस्तान में शांति थी, and he was Akbar was a kind of genius of his time. He not only conquered the land, but he also encouraged the architecture as well as writing. And अकबर जब थोड़ा स्टेबल होने लगा, then he started कि okay, I should start sponsoring his writing. And the first important outcome of his sponsorship that came out of this sponsorship is the text called Tarikh-e-Alfi. Akbar, during his rulership, he realized that now 1,000 years of Islam is completed. Islam, which started with Muhammad Paigambar, now it's 1,000 year Islam has completed, and then why not to sponsor the book that will tell us about the history of Islam. And as a result of this sponsorship, came out this book called Tariq Alpi, and it was prepared by the group of historians, and this historian included Nizamuddin Ahmad and Badayuni. This Nizamuddin Ahmad and Badayuni, they independently also wrote different texts about which we will be discussing shortly. लेकिन उन्होंने इस किताब को लिखने में भी काफी योगदान दिया. In fact, Nizamuddin Ahmad was one of the important person who prepared this text, Tariq-e-Alfi. And it gives us information about the history since the beginning of Islam to 1591. And Akbar was quite interested in this project. He personally supervised this project. Then next important text of this Mughal period is written. This is all Akbar's period. I am talking about Akbar's period history writing. That is Tariq Humayun wa Akbar. Tariq का मतलब sorry Tazkirat. Tazkirat ये Humayun wa Akbar, and it is written by the historian called Bayazid Biyat. And he writes about the Humayun's life in Iran and Kabul and in India. When Humayun was expelled from India by Sher Shah Suri, he has to take shelter first in Kabul, and then later on he has to go to the Shah of Iran, where he stays for a very longer period, and then he comes back to India and reconquers his territory. So this person, Bayazid Biyat, he was accompanying Humayun when he went outside India, and then when he came back, and he writes about Humayun's experience in those territory. Then next history writing is again very important. Just a minute, I will have some water and I'll come back. Hold on. Okay, fine. I hope I'm audible and clear and visible. Okay, fine. Now this next person, that was Zohar Aftabichi, quite an interesting episode. What happened is when Humayun was fighting, he was a personal attendant to Humayun, kind of personal servant uska tha. And when Humayun was fighting against Sher Shah Suri in one of the battle that Humayun has in fact lost, and Humayun was, he has to cross the river to save his life. And it was this Zohar Aftabichi. Aftabichi, the role of Aftabichi was mainly to provide water. There used to be a bag made up of skin of animals like bull skin, and where these people, the water carrier, they used to fill it with the water and supply it to the troops. Now, this person, Zohar Aftabichi, when he sees that his emperor is having a risk of losing his life, he gives his that bag. He empties the bag, throws away the water, fills it with the air, and then throws it to Humayun. And with the help of that bag, inflated bag, Humayun, he crosses the river, and Humayun was quite pleased with him. Then later on, Humayun goes to, he is expelled, then he comes back, but he finds out this person, Zohar Aftabichi. And later on, Akbar also calls him and says, Fine, you were like a personal attendant to my father. So you know a lot of things about my father. So whatever you know about my father, you go on speaking about it, and I will appoint a writer for you. So as a result of this exercise, this text comes out, that is Tazkirat wal Wakayat. And it gives a lot of information about the personal life of Humayun. Well, now we are coming to the next two important historians of Akbar's period, that is Badayuni and Abul Fazl, and they represent two different way of thinking. Badayuni was Orthodox Islam. Badayuni represent the opinion of the Orthodox Islam, where Islam is treated as a superior religion and the Hindus are treated as inferior. But Abul Fazl though Muslim himself, he represents the liberal attitude, liberal way of thinking, where Akbar was treating Hindus and Muslim equally. He's respecting the Hindu sentiments, and he abolishes jizya, that was a tax especially imposed on the non-Muslim in the Muslim kingdom. So these two people, Badayuni on the one side is very critical of Akbar's policy. He says कि how it can be, ये ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है, हिंदू और मुस्लिम एक समान कैसे हो सकते हैं, मुस्लिम इज सुपीरियर रिलीजन एंड हिंदूज को इस तरीके से ट्रीट करना ये तो इस्लाम के खिलाफ है, उसका कहना था. And he is very critical of Akbar's policy of liberal policy. But Abul Fazl was very supportive of Akbar's policy. He said कि Akbar is a truly national leader who can take the people together, who can, he is having a vision to take to get the cooperation of the people. Well, let us talk about Badayuni first. The text that is written by Badayuni is Muntakab ul Tariq, and Badayuni's real name was Mullah Abdul Qadir. Mullah Abdul Qadir उनका नाम था. वो काफी ऑर्थोडॉक्स मुस्लिम थे, एंड उनकी लर्निंग काफी अच्छी थी, बट ही वाज वेरी वेल वर्स इन द इस्लामिक texts like Quran and other related texts. So Akbar was very impressed by his scholarship, and then he appointed him in his writing, made him imam, and gave him 1,000 bighah of land. But even after this, his attitude towards Akbar did not change. He stick to his orthodox view, and he did not like Akbar's policy towards Hindus and his foundation of Din-e-Ilahi. Din-e-Ilahi was a kind of creed that is started by Akbar. अकबर ने एक अपनी creed बनाई थी जिसमें कोई भी हो सकता था शामिल, हिंदूज और मुस्लिम. आप अगर मुस्लिम है तो आप मुस्लिम भी रह सकते हैं, उसमें भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. आप अगर हिंदू है तो आप हिंदू रह सकते हैं, उसमें भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. तो ये जो दीन-ए-इलाही जो अकबर ने शुरुआत की थी, ये उसको क्रिटिसाइज करता है. The book that is Badayuni's book, Muntakab ul Tariq, is having in three parts. The first volume tells us about Humayun and Sher Shah, what he has heard and what he has experienced. Next volume, it tells us about Akbar's rule for 40 years, his sincere opinion about him. And the third volume, it talks about it is a kind of biography of his contemporary poets, philosophers, and sons. So sometimes he uses a very rough, rude language against his opponent, like Abul Fazl. He was very critical about Abul Fazl. He was elder to Abul Fazl, and both of them have studied under one teacher. But then they had a kind of rivalry, intellectual or professional rivalry. And he says that this Abul Fazl is a kind of psychopath, जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं ना चापलूस. ये चापलूसी करता है अकबर की, and he uses at a time very rough language for Abul Fazl. But nevertheless, this work is important because it gives you information about insight into the mind of the Orthodox Muslims. What were the opinion of the Orthodox Muslim? That is what we get to learn from this. All right. Well. This is over. Well, now let us come to the considered to be the most important author of the Mughal period. That is Abul Fazl. His name was Sheikh Abul Fazl, and he was son of Sheikh Mubarak of Nagaur, born in Agra in 1551. And he completed his education, and he also became teacher. He was 11 years younger to Badayuni, and as I already told you, they were having a opposite opinion about the liberal policies of Akbar. His father, Sheikh Mubarak, he himself was a person of liberal and mystic bent of mind, quite religious person. And Abul Fazl in 1574, he got entry into Akbar's court. And Akbar understood his talent, and soon he became a very trusted lieutenant of Akbar. Abul Fazl was not only the learned person, but he was also involved in the court politics and military expedition. Akbar asked him to write sincere account of his period, and Abul Fazl, he writes how he started his work, collected resources, and the difficulties he has faced. He collected a lot of resources. He interviewed many people. He examined young and old witnesses, and in fact, Akbar, he issued a royal decree to royal order to all the governors that they should give furnish all the information to Abul Fazl, where all the details are required. And as a result, a lot of information was gathered at capital, and Whenever there is any doubt, Abul Fazl used to consult Akbar himself. So, this text that is written by Abul Fazl was written in consultation with Akbar. And there are two famous books. In fact, combinedly, it is a one series of volumes, because Akbar Nama is having three volumes. The first two tells you about different history, and third volume is also Ain Akbari. And this Ain Akbari is having further five volumes. So this throws light on political situation and social condition, as well as administrative machinery. Akbar-Nama, the first part is political history of Akbar and Humayun. The second part, from Akbar's accession to 1602. Akbar dies in 1605, and he becomes king after the second battle of Panipat, that is 1556. So from 1556 to 1602, the second part of Akbar-Nama gives us information, and the third part is Ain Akbari. As I told you, this Ain Akbari is also further divided into the five parts, and which generally deals about the administrative matters of the Akbar's period. This book are mine of information, gives a lot of detailed information, resources, condition, population, industry, trade, commerce of the empire. दूसरे भाग में, second part में, अबुल फजल also writes about what is his opinion about history. And history के बारे में वो कहता है कि जो सुल्ताना के पीरियड में जो हिस्ट्री का लिखान हुआ था, the history written during the Sultan period, सल्तनत period, was not a scientific basis. साइंटिफिक नहीं थी, उसमें सत्य की खोज ज्यादा नहीं की गई. दे हैव नॉट ट्राई टू राइट सर्च फॉर द ट्रूथ. Then he praises Akbar. He says that Akbar is the main source of the great change. He also captures the mood of his time, and he depicts the manner of the people, so that the coming generation will understand the impact of the powerful monarch on the whole activity. So he gives a lot of credit to Akbar, that Akbar, being a powerful monarch with his policies, with his attitude, he has influenced his time. Uh, he talks about the liberal outlook that Akbar represents, and he says that history is a most suited medium. There was a kind of understanding. Akbar also wanted that his liberal attitude and his policy should be made known to the people, and Abul Fazl, he played a very important role in praising and preaching this Akbar's liberal policy. He says that history is like a pearl of science, which quietens perturbation. मतलब जो एंजाइटी, जो अनइजीनेस, जो एंजाइटी जो होती है हमारे माइंड में, उसको शांत करने का काम हिस्ट्री करता है. इट गिव्स यू पीस, फिजिकल एंड स्पिरिचुअल, एंड इट टेक्स अस फ्रॉम लाइट टू डार्कनेस, external and internal. It influences it, gives you a kind of spiritual inspiration also. That is what he writes about history. History awakens reason, bring us face to face with the truth. It teaches us tolerance, humanism, and we find the information of Sulekul in his book. सुलेकुल इज अ थियरी. उसका मतलब होता है सुलेकुल, कुल मतलब सबके लिए शांति. तो सुलेकुल के विचारों को अकबर ने इम्प्लीमेंट करने की कोशिश की. सब इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द रिलीजन, ही ट्राइड टू ट्रीट एवरीबडी विथ रिस्पेक्ट. There were a number of Hindus in his court who has risen to the very high position, like Raja Todarmal. Well, so this is about, in general, about the first and second volume. And the third volume, that is Ain Akbari, which is further divided into the five volume. It gives detailed information about the administrative structure of Akbar's period. And because as Abul Fazl has got lot of information from the governors and government officials on the instruction of Akbar, so this book has become quite reliable, as Abul Fazl was having access to a lot of information, and it gives information about the different means of economic production, revenue system, expenditure, population, industries, cost of different goods, different officers, their responsibility, and order of the king. Uh, then it also gives information that Akbar have started imperial record. उसने एक ऑफिस की शुरुआत की थी जहाँ सारे imperial record रखे जाते थे. Abul Fazl had made a very judicious use of resources. He verifies the truth contained in the official document from time to time. He interviewed many people, taken note of those interview, and he has tried his best that there should not remain any gap in the narration. Judiciously chronological sequence भी उसने maintain किया है. But though obviously very important, there are certain shortcomings, and one of the very important shortcoming in his writing that he treats Akbar as a person, as a perfect person. he never tries to find out any shortcoming in Akbar's personality, which is not right thing. It is not a critical engagement, but it is written in the form of a praise of Akbar. Uh, but apart from that, the work is very important. Akbar, he believed in Akbar as saints believe in God. Akbar's vices are minimized and his virtues are highlighted. He was first an artist, then a scientist. He tried to put his writing in the artistic way. Here, if you remember, in the last lecture, I told you about the use of Farsi for history writing. Farsi is a language which is more suitable for the poetic expression, literature, and history is a scientific subject. So, if you use the language which is more suitable for the artistic expression, literary expression for writing history, it's likely to definitely it will create certain challenges, and that is what we find happening in case of the um, use of Parsi in Abul Fazl's writing. So his writing is of epic style, and the prose it seems to be creating certain confusion. And then the writing is so enormous, and he himself says that my writing is not for the common people; it is for the specialists. So it is like an encyclopedia. People use it for some references. Generally, people don't use it for a kind of pleasure. But nevertheless, these two texts has gives us a lot of information about the Akbar and his policies. There is one more shortcoming, that is in Akbari, though it talks about administrative measures, administrative structure, it doesn't give us a lot of information about peasants and working class. So they again remain outside the periphery that called history. Well, then next person, that is Khwaja Nizamuddin Ahmad, and he wrote a text called Tabqat-e-Akbari, which was completed in 1593, and he was Bakshi in the service of Akbar. The responsibility of Bakshi was to maintain the muster roll of army and to provide their salary. So he gives information about the 38 years of Akbar period. Akbar के period के 38 साल का वो जानकारी देता है. अकबर के जो अलग अलग प्रोविंसेस थे अकबर के एम्पायर में, 9 प्रोविंसेस, उसके बारे में जानकारी देता है. Description of empire, he says there are 3,200 towns and 120 big cities. And he also states that this book is written with the help of 28 sources. So he referred to the earlier sources, and then he wrote this book giving information about Akbar's period. तबकत ये अकबरी. So Akbar's period के ये दो important historian मैंने आपको बता दिए. Apart from a few more, that is, Badayuni and Abul Fazl, and the kind of differences they have about Akbar's policy also I told you. Now, after Akbar, Jahangir becomes emperor, and the Jahangir, he has already written his autobiography, which he did not, of course, complete. He wrote for 17 years and then handed it over to Muhammad Khan. Tuzuke Jahangiri is the name of the text. तुझके जहांगीरी नाम का उसने आत्मचरित्र लिखा है. And this same Muhammad Khan, who had assisted Jahangir in writing his autobiography further, has also written another text called Iqbal Namae Jahangiri. ये टेक्स्ट उन्होंने लिखे मुतमद खान ने, जिसने जहांगीर के आत्मचरित्रों को बाद में लिखा, कंप्लीट करने की कोशिश की. Iqbal Namae Jahangiri, which was completed in 1630, and it covers history from Babur to Jahangir, and after that, he also wrote Shah Jahan Nama, and that is another text that is written by him. And in case of in Shah Jahan Nama, he talks about Prince Khurram's revolt against Jahangir. Prince Khurram later on becomes Emperor Shah Jahan, and why Prince Khurram has revolted against his father, that he tries to justify in his writing Shah Jahan Nama. Then Khwaja Kamgar Hussain, he wrote a text called Masir Jahangiri, and it gives important information about the last years of Jahangir period. So he talks about the role played by Khusro's supporter. Khusro was the eldest son of Jahangir, and he revolted against his father. Unfortunately, he was unsuccessful. He was caught, blinded, and later on he dies. And later on, his younger brother Khurram also revolts, but he is successful. He becomes emperor because he revolted at the right time when Jahangir's health was on the decline. And Khusro revolted much earlier, when he was defeated and remained unsuccessful. And this in Masir Jahangiri, Khwaja Khamgar Hussaini, he also gives information about Jahangir's interest in flora and fauna and animal breeding. Jahangir was very fond of laying down gardens. He laid two gardens, one at Lahore and one at Srinagar, and both these gardens are known as Shalimar Gardens. They are still existing. Srinagar garden at Srinagar, at least I have seen. Probably it is existing at Lahore as well. Where then Qazi Nurul Haq, he wrote Zubadat e Tariq, and then he has given a very comprehensive history. He writes about the history of all the Muslim rulers since beginning Qutbuddin Aibak to Jahangir. Then next important text of this period is Tariq e Khan Jahani, which is written by Nemat Allah Harwai, and he was under the patronage of Khane Jahan Lodi. Khane Jahan was one of the noble of Jahangir, and then he wrote about this text. So this gives information about this novel of Jahangir's period. After Jahangir, as I already told you, his son Khurram revolted against him and came out successfully, becomes emperor, names, and he assumed the name of Shah Jahan. And Shah Jahan period was a period of peace and prosperity. There was a growth of art, literature in all the direction. And the important historical text of this period is Padshah This Padshah which is sponsored by Shah Jahan, it was first written by Mirza Amin Quzvini. But the king did not like this writing, and then later on, this responsibility was handed over to Abdul Hamid Lahori. And Lahori, he considered Abul Fazl as his role model, and he gives information about 20 years of Shah Jahan's rule. And like political events, he gives information about the contemporary social, economical, and cultural condition. And though there is more reflection of the upper class, he also gives a very pathetic description of the famine that came in Gujarat and southern part of India. Like he writes certain sentences which will give us information that is people were willing to sell themselves for bread, but there was nobody to buy. And it is quite a readable account because it was written on the order of the king, and then he had access to all the information, all the records. Then he also mentions that the liberal attitude of Akbar's period is now giving way to the intolerance. We see that as Akbar was liberal towards Hindus and Muslim both, later on from Jahangir's period, this religious intolerance became slowly visible. It became more prominent during Shah Jahan's period, and still more extremely prominent during the period of Aurangzeb later on. The text also gives information about poets, scholars, and sons as well. And then there is another text named Shahjahan Nama. If you remember, there was a text called Shahjahan Nama. Well, then Shahjahan Nama is written by Inayat Khan, and it describes the political history from Babur to 1657 till the time Shah Jahan was emperor. Now, next after Shah Jahan, it was Aurangzeb who became the ruler. Now, Aurangzeb was somehow he was against history writing, and the one of the important reason that the historian tells is that because Aurangzeb was very cruel to his own brothers and his father, he imprisoned his father Shah Jahan, and Shah Jahan has to spend last 12 years of his life in the custody of his own son, and it was not a very comfortable life. Secondly, Aurangzeb has killed all his brother Murad and then Dara, and he also killed Dara's son also. So probably Aurangzeb was of the opinion that कि ये जो मैंने काम किया है, अपने भाइयों को मारा है, अपने फादर को जेल में डाला है, कैद में रखा है, तो ये सारी बातें इतिहासकार लिख देंगे, और शायद इसी कारण से उन्होंने इतिहास लिखन को मना कर दिया. But nevertheless, later on, he seems to have understood the importance of history. Then he sanctions the project, Alamgirnama, and then on the order of Aurangzeb, the Alamgirnama was written. It was written for some period. Then again Aurangzeb को लगा कि नहीं, history writing की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, and then he stops this writing. This Alamgirnama is written by Kazim, but it is incomplete. एंड लेकिन एक बात हो गई, जो हिस्ट्री राइटिंग का सिलसिला हिंदुस्तान में शुरू हुआ था सुल्तानों के बाद में, वो हिस्ट्री राइटिंग का सिलसिला अभी रुकने का नाम नहीं ले रहा था. औरंगजेब, in spite of his wishes, he could not stop. Now, without the sponsorship of the government, people have started writing history on their own. अपने खुद इंटरेस्ट से लोगों ने इतिहास लेखन की शुरुआत की, मतलब जारी रखा. And out of that trend, there resulted certain texts which I will be telling about now. There was a person called Muhammad Saki Mustad Khan, and he wrote a text called Masir-e-Alamgiri, and he was contemporary of Aurangzeb, and he in fact served under Aurangzeb for 40 years. And as he served under Aurangzeb, he was witness to the lot of political event that has taken place during this period. And but he did not write on the order of Aurangzeb. He personally took interest in recording all those events. And as Aurangzeb was against writing history, he did not let that book come into the open till the time of the death of Aurangzeb. It's only after the death of Aurangzeb that that book has become open to everybody. Then another interesting book written by his own effort, and again written in a hidden manner, that is Tariq-e-Kafi Khan or Muntakab ul Lubab. It is having two names, Muntakab ul Lubab, or it is also known as Tariq-e-Kafi Khan. It is in 3 volumes, and this is written by Muhammad Hashim Khan, but he was also known as a Kafi Khan. Now, Kafi is a word in Persian which means hidden. तो हिडन खान उसको क्यों बोला गया था? बिकॉज उसने छुप छुप के अपना इतिहास लिखा था. उसको पता था कि औरंगजेब को इतिहास से नफरत है, और मैं तो औरंगजेब के यहाँ नौकरी करता हूँ, और औरंगजेब को अगर पता चल जाएगा, एम्परर को, बादशाह को अगर पता चल जाएगा कि मैं हिस्ट्री लिख रहा हूँ, तो शायद मुझसे खफा हो जाएंगे. एंड दैट इज रिटन, छुप छुप के उसने इतिहास लिखा, इसलिए उसका नाम भी पड़ गया छुपा हुआ खान, दैट इज खाफी खान. एंड दिस मुंतखब उल लुबाब इज हैविंग इन 3 पार्ट्स. डेक्कन में जब औरंगजेब ने मराठों के ऊपर आक्रमण किया था, उस समय ये औरंगजेब के साथ में था. और बाद में जब फारूक सियार एम्परर बने, मुगल एम्परर, later Mughals, after the death of Aurangzeb, फारूक सियार became emperor in 1713. ये उसका दीवान बना. दीवान is a very important post who is responsible for the revenue and expenditure of the emperor. And then he wrote this book. He was continued to keep a record, and then he wrote this book, Tariq-e-Kafi Khan. He was eyewitness to the many events in the south. And then he records, औरंगजेब का समय तो उसने खुद देखा था, लेकिन अर्ली का इतिहास भी उसने पढ़ा. एंड देन ही wrote all those things. So he starts from the attack of Muhammad Ghori to 1733, a very long period he covers. And apart from the political event, he also described the social events. He also described the Irani and Turani conflict at Aurangzeb's period. ईरानी मतलब जो लोग ईरान से आए थे, और तुरानी मतलब जो तुर्क से आए थे. तो ये दोनों लोग अपना अपना ग्रुप बना देते थे, एंड दे यूज्ड टू ट्राई टू इन्फ्लुएंस द पॉलिसीज ऑफ एम्परर एंड ट्राई टू एप्रोप्रिएट द पावर. ये भी उसने लिखा है. Then Aurangzeb's modification of Mansabdari system. Mansabdari system was the way administration used to be streamlined during Akbar's period, and it continued during Mughal period. But Aurangzeb has made certain modification in Mansabdari system. How the central administration used to function. He praises Aurangzeb obviously at certain places, and as he was in the south, he came close in contact with the Marathas. And then he writes about Shivaji's as well. And then he says that it was in fact, Shivaji who killed Afzal Khan. He has deceived Afzal Khan, called him to meet him at Pratapgarh. I am sure many of you are aware of that important episode in the Maratha history, that is the Battle of Pratapgarh, when Afzal Khan, the noble of Bijapur, goes against Shivaji. Shivaji calls him for a meeting, and then Afzal Khan is killed. And in that episode, who is a person who has attacked first? Whether it was Afzal Khan who wanted to kill Shivaji, or whether it was Shivaji जो अफजल खान को मारना चाहता था, इस बात को लेकर controversy है. Number of Maratha historian, they generally write that it was Afzal Khan who made the first move, and he wanted to kill Shivaji, and Shivaji killed Afzal Khan in self-defense. But in contrast, going against this generally prevailing opinion among the Maratha historian, Kafi Khan writes that Shivaji is the killer of Afzal Khan. Well, but at the same time he praises शिवाजी at number of occasion. जैसे कि वो कहता है कि शिवाजी ने अपने सिपाहियों को एक ऑर्डर दे रखा था कि कोई भी, आप जब भी आक्रमण करेंगे शत्रु के ऊपर, आपको मस्जिद का रिस्पेक्ट करना है, मस्जिद आपको नहीं तोड़नी है. साथ साथ में किसी भी मुस्लिम महिला को या शत्रु की महिला को आपने हाथ नहीं लगाना है, उसको परेशान नहीं करना है. तो ये इस काम के लिए वो छत्रपति शिवाजी की प्रशंसा करता है कि छत्रपति शिवाजी का इस तरीके से नैतिक जो मोरल वैल्यूज जो थी वो काफी अच्छी थी. देन मोहम्मद कासिम जो है, उन्होंने लिखा है Ahwal ul Khawakin. So it tells us about history up to 1739. He was Bakshi of Nizam ul Mulk. इस बात का इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि निजाम उल मुल्क ड्यूरिंग आफ्टर 1715 निजाम उल मुल्क जो एक मुगल नोबल था धीरे धीरे इंडिपेंडेंट बनते गया एंड देन ही स्टार्टेड हिज ओन इंडिपेंडेंट एम्पायर south, first from Aurangabad, and then later that Nizam, they have shifted their capital to Hyderabad. So he talks about Nizam ul Mulk. He gives history about the Nizam ul Mulk, and it seems to be quite relatively scientific history because he also tries to find out the reason behind the event. And the reason that he gave about the downfall of the Mughals are very convincing. मुगलों का रास मुगल साम्राज्य का पतन क्यों हो रहा है इसके बारे में वो काफी अच्छे से जानकारी अपने इस टेक्स्ट में देता है. देन अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट जैसे कि शुरू में बताया था ये समय ऐसा था कि फारसी भाषा कई हिंदुओं ने भी सीखी and there are two important texts written by Hindus in Farsi language. There was a person called Bhimsel Burhanpuri. He was in the service of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb के service में था and he wrote his history Nuksha-e Dilkusha. Then there was a person called Ishwar Das Nagar who wrote Futuhat-e Alamgiri. And both of them were in the service of Aurangzeb. Bhimsen, he traveled extensively all over the empire. And in a way, these books are very important because it gives you the perception about the Hindus about the Aurangzeb's rule. हिंदू लोग क्या सोचते हैं औरंगजेब के रूल के बारे में ये जानकारी हमें मिलती है. As these people have not written on the order of Aurangzeb, their account is quite objective. जो उनको सही लगा वो उन्होंने लिखा and his information भीमसेन जो information है साउथ की वो काफी important है. उसके बाद में there was an Italian person. He was traveler as well as he was a warrior. Artillery का expert था वो और उसको सबसे पहले एक मुगल नोबल जयसिंह ने शायद अपने मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा ठीक से बट नेवरदलेस ही वाज सर्विंग अंडर द मुगल और औरंगजेब की भी उसने नौकरी की. ही वेंट टू साउथ विद औरंगजेब एंड देन ही हैज सीन औरंगजेब्स सदर्न एक्सपीडिशन एंड देन ही रोट हिज टेक्स्ट इन इटालियन स्टोरिया द मोगल. So this is also an important source of information about the Mughal history, or this is one of the historiographical account of the Mughal period. Then Sia ul Mutkarin by Sayyid Ghulam Hussain. He gives information about the last years of Mughal and beginning of the British rule in Bengal. Then let us some of the salient feature of Mughal historiography. The Mughal historiography is quite rich and diverse. It talks about social, cultural, economic events. There are autobiographies, biographies, official and non-official historians. And the most of the historian of this period were related to the court. They were holding high office. They were related to the noble family, and many of them have dedicated their life to study. So we find quite a maturity in their writing in comparison to the history of the Sultanate period. Though many of them were devoted Muslim, but this was a phase of liberalism, at least during Akbar's period, and we find that many of them have given quite an objective, secular kind of account. Their writing is essentially objective. Most of them have witnessed the contemporary event, wrote about the contemporary event, so their writing has become relatively quite authentic. The books that is written on the order of the king definitely have certain biasness. For example, Abul Fazl's book, I told you, he praises Akbar but never criticizes him. He was a kind of devotee. But the book written by individuals, they are relatively objective and more reliable. Sometimes we find biasness. For example, Abul Fazl doesn't give any credit to Todarmal. In fact, Todarmal was a person who has played a very important role in organizing the revenue and the agriculture taxation system in India during the Mughal period. Lahori doesn't give any information about Noor Jahan because he did not wanted to say anything that will displease his emperor. Though mostly the subject matter is political, we do get information about the economical, social, and cultural aspects. Causation, though there are certain attempts, but still causation was lacking. It was just a narrative kind of history. They have narrated the event, but did not went into the detail of the detail understanding the detailed reason behind the causes, and it has failed to develop any philosophical basis. It has failed to develop a kind of particular school of thought. They have written independently. Particular school of thought मतलब उस समय का जो कोई prevailing विचारधारा उसके ऊपर नहीं मिलती है. It is a varied kind of history writing that we get. वेल एक्शन एंड रिएक्शन मतलब वही कॉजेशन का थोड़ा लैकिंग है। डेडिएटिक टाइप हिस्ट्री है ज़्यादा, क्या करना चाहिए क्या नहीं करना चाहिए इसके बारे में लोगों ने ज़्यादा लिखा है। सो दिस इज वेयर वी इज इन our Mughal history writing. If you have any doubt about this, just let me know. Yes. So I told you about how during the Mughal period, history writing has been taken one step ahead than the Sultanate period history writing. How the Mughal period have witnessed a long period of stability and resulted into the lot of literary work, that including historiographies. Akbar's period history, I told you there are two important history in Akbar's period, Abul Fazl and Badayuni, representing the different opinion. There are autobiographies like Tuzuke Babri and Tuzuke Jahangiri, and during Aurangzeb's period, as he was against history writing, there are certain people who has written history of their own. Tariq-e-Khafi Khan is important. It gives a lot of information about the Marathas. He talks about Shivaji, though he calls Shivaji as a killer of Afzal Khan. He praises his moral values. So this is where the Mughal history writing ends. I think so far.